What? Coming to you live from our beloved city by the bay. Yes, we are Pro Life San Francisco, and today we are doing our first ever Dobbs anniversary search. Woo! Applause. Yes. And our goal for today, the theme is 24 by 24 on 24. What does that mean? We are hoping for 24 people to give $24 within the next 24 hours today on June 24th, the third anniversary of the overturn of Roe v. Wade, thanks to the Supreme Court decision ruling from the case Dobbs v. Jackson. Fun fact, I was actually outside the Supreme Court the moment the decision came down. So if you happen to have been watching the news that day, you may have seen my screaming face. It was such a moment of joy. It was an amazing moment in history. I remember crying. People were dancing for joy, jumping up and down. I remember champagne bottles being popped open. And it was just a joyous moment that I can't believe I had the opportunity to be there for. So, a little bit about my story. I got involved in the pro life movement when I was in university. I discovered a pro life club at my school, ended up restarting this dying pro life club, and I was doing it solo. And over time, people came, you got to build it, and then they come. And to this day, that pro life club is still going at my now alma mater, University Texas at San Antonio. Shout out to Roadrunners. And that's what launched me into the pro life movement. I started doing lobbying, testifying at the Texas Capitol in Austin. I was a faithful sidewalk intern with the San Antonio Coalition for Life outside of the headquarters of Planned Parenthood South Texas. And I did that for about 3 years faithfully, sidewalk outreach. And I had to have turned away hundreds of people from the abortion industry. And I just said yes to any and every pro life opportunity that came my way. I started doing international pro life work and training other young people across Texas. I worked at a maternity home for a time. I worked at a pregnancy help center for a time. So I was doing all the pro life things. And in 2022, I learned about some golden, almost forgotten pro life history within our movement, which is our rich history of civil disobedience, nonviolent direct action. And I was lit on fire. I was really inspired by the tenacity and courage of the pro life warriors who came before us. So that lit a fire underneath me. And also around that time, 2022, March, was the discovery of the Justice for the Five Babies. We here at Pro Life San Francisco, I like to say we're sister organizations to the Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, and a couple of the activists from POW were outside a local DC abortion business on medical waste pickup day, and were able to intercept a box. Asked the driver if they could take a box. The driver asked why do you want it? They say there's dead babies in there. He was appalled. He asks, what would you do with this box? They say, we're going to give the babies a funeral and a burial. They open up the box, found 115 killed children. 110 were early first trimester babies, but 5 were bigger babies past the point of viability, 3 of which show signs of being killed through illegal abortion procedures that are not allowed in any state in the US. And to this day, 3 years later, those 5 babies' bodies are still held at the DC Medical Examiner's office, and we are still fighting for justice for those 5. So, 2022, that happened that year, and that also radicalized me. So, the discovery of the 5, that radicalized me. I learned about this history of civil disobedience within the pro life movement. That lit a fire underneath me. And then Dobbs v. Jackson, Roe's overturned. I got to be outside the Supreme Court the moment that it happened. And I had all this fire, right? I'm on a roll. I'm doing all the pro-life things. And then abortion becomes illegal in my home state, Texas. Yes, I am a proud Texan, born and raised. Texas flows in my veins. I am Chicana, Latina, if you hadn't guessed it. And I was so happy to be there in Texas when the trigger law took effect after Dobbs. And good news that life was now legally protected. But for me, having this new flame of momentum to fight for the babies, I just began feeling like Texas did not need me anymore. Not to say that Texas and states like it don't still need pro-lifers. There's still a lot of work to do in states like Texas, especially with fighting abortion pill trafficking. It's still very important to go out to the sidewalks because, as we know, our friends in neighboring states, for example, New Mexico, are now seeing Texas license plates at their abortion businesses. So pro-life work is not finished in states like Texas. But I began feeling called that with my set of skills and gifts that I was needed in a place where babies were still being very much legally killed, where abortion was still the law of the land. And so, as we know, after Dobbs, some states protected life and other states became abortion safe havens, almost like California. So I began praying, discerning, where do I go next after Texas? And I was wondering, do I go to New Mexico? Do I go to New York? Do I go to DC? And then I got a call that Pro-Life San Francisco needed a new executive director. So thankfully, my husband was on board and God made a way for our family to move out west for the California dream, baby. And I was really shocked when I got to San Francisco and realized that sadly you cannot wear Daisy Dukes with bikinis on top here. It's actually fairly chilly all year round. But no worries, my body has adjusted to the climate, and now when we go back to Texas to visit, we wonder how we ever survived the Texas heat. So now I am a Cali girl, a California girl, and I love San Francisco. I have since left my heart in San Francisco, and September will be 2 years of my time in my role as executive director. So I tell you this story because Dobbs v. Jackson, the overturn of Roe, was in a sense the catalyst for me to pick up my life and my family, leave everything we knew and loved, our community, our culture, and move to California for the babies, all for the babies and their moms. So I hope that sharing my story was fruitful to you, because today is our first ever Dobbs anniversary surge. We are hoping for people, maybe 24 of you, to commit $24 in the next 24 hours today on June 24th to continue the work we are doing in San Francisco, in the abortion training capital. And I don't say those words lightly. San Francisco truly is America's abortion training capital. And I imagine my co host Robert is going to tell you more about that. So please welcome on to the stage my co host Robert Bird. Welcome, Robert Bird. Yes.
How's it going?
Robert Bird has been with Pro Life San Francisco since the very early days. You've been here for now three different executive directors, and you've been through it all. And we're so grateful to have the man, the myth, the legend, the brains, our producer behind the scenes of these live streams, Robert Bird. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Robert.
Thank you so much, Melanie. And feel free to keep me updated on text whenever you feel ready to pop back in, because my presentation, I won't be long-winded, but I'll keep an eye since I might not be able to hear you backstage. So let's see. So my name is Robert Bird. As Melanie just said, I've been with Pro Life San Francisco since the early days, not the very beginning though. And what I would like to share with you is our journey from the past. Where did this community come from? And if I pull up my screen here, let's see, I'm going to be able to share with you our presentation, our journey from the past. Let's see real quick. All right. So everybody, Pro Life San Francisco started in 2016. We are an organization that is rooted in doing things ourselves. In 2016, we were a branch of a national organization which had these young adult chapters across the country. But within about 9 or 12 months, we were like, there's multiple reasons why we want to set out on our own or do this all, as a self-directed, self-organized, and self-funded venture. So checking my screen real quick, I want to make sure things are all looking good on your end. Perfect. I want to make sure that you guys have a good visual there. We had our very beginning in 2016, as I mentioned. Pro-Life Future of San Francisco, first gathering in the Mission District at Bar San Pancho on Guerrero Street. Very sorry to say that business does not exist anymore, but you can always find multiple places in the Mission and throughout California to gather. Most recently, we were at a place out in Potrero Hill, just enjoying each other's company, being able to, share, what we hold in common, share, what makes us unique from each other, because pro-life people are not all the same. We're not all Christian, we're not all religious, we're not all Protestant or Catholic, we're not all agnostic like me. We're a mix of people, varied backgrounds, and all coming to this cause for mostly, a lot of the same reasons, and I'll get to that in a second. These are our founding members, Teresa Bukovinak and Karen Rose. They were the spearhead of this movement here in San Francisco. And in December, that's when I came along. And the reason why I came along and joined them was because of seeing literature like this. I had just heard about abortion in my high school health class. Um, I took it during summer school, so the curriculum was very quick, very sped up. No time, not much time for, in-depth questions and answers on, one topic over another, because, in summer school, the subjects move fast. So when I heard that a doctor could end a person's pregnancy at, request, it left me wondering, like, what in the world? Why would a doctor do that? And that left me with a lot of questions that I took with me at home, because I had this memory from seventh grade science class. Like, you know, it really much seemed like I had this memory that I was taught that you started as a single cell organism. Isn't that crazy? Like, at one point in your life, you were similar to a plankton, but an individual, distinct organism just immature, just very tiny, microscopic. And I thought that was very fascinating. And of course, it only takes about 8, 10 weeks till you could be visually identified as a human being. That doesn't mean you weren't at the single cell stage. There's like a genetic, you know, objective truth there. So when I heard about abortion between junior year and senior year, I was left dumbfounded. Like, isn't that a human? Isn't that what I was taught in science class? And so I researched abortion on the internet and found some really, high quality educational resources like the ones at this organization, and it confirmed what my suspicions were, that yeah, abortion destroys a human organism, a human individual, and in my mind, there's no reason aside from stopping someone who's aiming a weapon. There's no reason, no justification for taking someone's life, only if they're about to, like in that moment, like about to take someone else's life, self-defense, defense of another. But you can't just attack anyone. People have a right to life. And so this was the beginning of my journey um, into the pro-life world and really just equal rights. Then it was a few years later, so 2009 was when I learned about abortion. 2015 was when I started seeing very gruesome things in the news about organizations targeting families, targeting pregnant women and girls in order to, essentially lock in their abortion decision and essentially say, hey, you can benefit medical science if you let us collect and dissect, the remains, this field of what's called fetal tissue research. And this really disturbed me. This is legally practiced, widespread, and there was the allegation that these companies that practice it, some of them were illegally profiting, like because the government's only, their only kind of dog in the fight is, well, you could do this as long as no one's making illegal profit. And there were like very serious allegations that that was an additional strike against these abortion businesses. And that just left me wondering, like, what in the world am I doing, just kind of sitting in the background, not standing up and speaking out, not doing anything. I had been studying the arguments, the case for the pro-life stance for the past 5 years, from about 2009 to 2014, 2015, and now this fire was lit under me to do something about it, because it didn't seem like you know it was right to just sit out in the background and wait for everyone else to take part. So some months later, I saw on Facebook Teresa and Karen's new pro-life group, Pro-Life Future of San Francisco. Within the next year, it was Pro-Life San Francisco, fully independent grassroots organization. And I was so happy to be invited into their community. That's me in the back right. And now I'm going to share more about like what our organization is all about. First, just to remind you, today on the Dobbs anniversary surge, we are hoping for people to join our efforts to become a part of this as well, just like I did back in December 2016. Join the effort by contributing in some manner, form, or shape, because San Francisco is an abortion magnet. People from all over California and all over America, honestly, are traveling here, being beckoned by our governor's, essentially pleading on behalf of abortion businesses to, he's sending out these billboards in states like Texas, Ohio, saying, come to California for abortion. And it is just unconscionable that we can't have a governor that is advocating for real care for these pregnant families, for single mothers, for families of all sizes. That real care looks very different than what the abortion lobbyists are portraying. And in order to combat their actions, their activity, these really malicious governments that are hurting and harming people in our community and people in communities from all across America, we can do our part. There is something that each of us can do. One thing is to join the fight. You can be a part of saving lives, saving families. And one option to join in and be a part of this shared mission of ours to protect these families and protect these children is to join Pro-Life San Francisco. You can contribute $24 today by the end of the day within this 24-hour period on June 24th at support.prolifesf.org. Please take part in the Dobbs anniversary surge. You won't be disappointed. The more people take part in this, the more actions we can do, the more planning, the more research, the more studying, the more activity you'll see in the press. And I'll show you a few examples of things that we have done. So what is our mission? First pillar is educating the public. We find many opportunities to get out there, to be on the streets, to be on the stage, to be on a physical platform and show people what it looks like to recognize the rights of both the mother and of the child, and to really put in stark relief the existence of these children, these premature children in utero, like that's objectively who they are, and displaying that on a public stage. We've been able to physically put ourselves out there. This is me on, I think this is the day after, was this Dobbs Day? Or this might have been when the Dobbs versus Jackson case was being argued in the Supreme Court in December of 2021, a few months before the decision came down. And by placing ourselves where reporters are and sending out calls, media releases, press releases, we give our community, the people who share our understanding of the world, the truth of the existence of these children, we give ourselves this platform to get our message in more people's ears. We've been interviewed and published in the New York Times. We've done two to date conferences at UC Berkeley, sharing with an audience of hundreds of people what we know to be true and educating from a variety of perspectives and backgrounds what we really need to know in order to help protect families and to protect children. This is another photo from one of our conferences. We love to be able to create opportunities for community in many different ways. And in addition to educating the public, creating those events, and creating that content that goes all throughout the internet, we are also focused on providing support to pregnant families, whether it's a couple, whether it's a single parent. We want to be able to provide them support. And this looks practically, I think what you would call it is sidewalk counseling, essentially peer counseling in a sense where you're, just relating to them as another, person, everyday person on the sidewalk, just offering an opportunity to have a conversation, handing out educational pamphlets that are very, very, worth their weight in gold. Well, pamphlet doesn't weigh much, but you know what I mean. And be able to share this abundance of resources that the community, both the pro-life community and the San Francisco community in general, has to offer to families who find themselves in really difficult circumstances, struggling with the thought of the ability of raising a new child. So sidewalk counseling, being able to be a pamphleteer, because there's all sorts of messages, causes, organizations on the sidewalks of San Francisco, handing out hundreds, thousands of pamphlets and brochures, every day throughout the year and every season. So this is not any different, other than our, the tactics are not any different. It's just the specific call to, see, we have something available to you. We can come alongside you and help you and your child. That is the essence of sidewalk counseling. In addition to providing support to pregnant families through sidewalk counseling and other means, which we'll be able to share in future live streams today, our third pillar is to confront the abortion movement. There's one little example of us with University of Nevada, Las Vegas members and um, founder of New Wave Feminists. We were outside one of the Democratic primary debates in Las Vegas, where Joe Biden drove right past us through his window. He likely saw our signs, but most likely he had his window rolled down to wave and thank his supporters on the other side of the street. It was a really crowded area out there for sure. Several demonstrators, and we wanted to make sure that the pro life message was included. And there are so many different ways that we are able to spread our message in the media, news interviews. We have several examples of that. Unfortunately, some of the pictures in the presentation didn't pop up here, but we've been able to place our message in several places outside the San Francisco courthouses, outside the office of Nancy Pelosi, in front of businesses like Walgreens and CVS that have unfortunately in many states become just like Planned Parenthood, dispensing abortion. And also, we have protested Donald Trump's Department of Justice. This was back in 2020 when they were failing to utilize the evidence on their table. I believe it was the Attorney General Bill Barr. We knew from congressional investigations and reports that there was solid evidence of Planned Parenthood, for example, profiting off the collected body parts of aborted children. This barbaric practice that the government only cares if there's illegal profiteering happening in the mix. The evidence for that was on the desk of Trump's attorney general, and there were no prosecutions, no charges happening. So we don't care if it's quote unquote the pro-life party. If they're doing something wrong and it's within our scope as an organization, our mission, our voice, because we as individuals can do multiple things, but the pro-life organization exists to have a mission to help these families and help these babies. We're going to call out the supposed pro-life administration whenever they are failing to protect the lives of children. We had a huge rally outside and marched as close as we could to the White House. That was back when they had a huge gate around it. It was still early COVID. You can see all the masks. And another way of confronting abortion businesses is standing up for our rights. We've been told occasionally by the police to get out of the space in front of Planned Parenthood when doing sidewalk counseling, for example, but we've been able to pull up the law and show them, look, the law explicitly says that sidewalk counseling is allowed. It even uses the phrase sidewalk counseling in the San Francisco ordinance. It just said that there's a balancing of rights by, kind of putting a little bit of a, hedge around what activities people such as us can do within the lines in front of the business. So we've never been carted away. We're standing up for our rights and educating other people that they have the ability to protect and call out, to protect these children, to share this invitation to speak to the parents in front of this business if that's the way that they wish to contribute to this mission. We've gone out and confronted the regents of the University of California when there was the bill to place the abortion pill in all of the university health centers. We made sure that the regents never took a positive, affirming position on that legislation. And guess what? They never did. They remained neutral. And being able to, educate pro-lifers, because, not everyone knows everything. We want to make sure that we're available to share all the knowledge that we've gathered with other people in our community at places like the Walk for Life, an annual pro-life event in January in San Francisco. Here's another example, one small example of the types of online educational content we put out, being able to really shine a spotlight on the fact that pro-life health clinics and material aid centers are valuable to the community. They have been the target of several malicious campaigns by abortion activists, unfortunately. And being able to stand up for them is one of our greatest pleasures. Being able to partner with other organizations like Live Action to host rallies outside of really notorious locations like the University of California, San Francisco's General Hospital Abortion Center. We've been able to gather together for several community events. Here's this one little snapshot of one of our Christmas gatherings, Christmas socials, and making sure that we can study and package information, make it digestible for the public, and help them understand what's at stake. That is so important to us as an organization. Since 2000, since 2019, we have been able to shine a huge spotlight on UCSF's abortion training program, which is a national abortion program headquartered here in San Francisco with over 110 locations across the country in a majority of states. And we published our first video on in this campaign in this program of ours. The first video that we released back during actually it was during a live stream in 2020 when we debuted it. That's gone out to over 3,000 viewers on YouTube alone. So we are really grateful for the opportunity to continue to shine a spotlight on these bad actors in the medical field, in government, wherever they may be, and call them to a higher standard that they need to join us in protecting lives and providing true care to families, to their patients when it comes to UC San Francisco Medical School, their various hospitals in the city. So that's just a little bit of a snapshot of our past. That's our journey from the past. And just a reminder, we want to be able to continue to do more of this and more of what we're currently doing, which is the subject of our next live stream today at 1 p.m. So please, if you like any of the things you've seen and want to help repeat it, help bring more of this action in the community, please join us by making a gift at support.prolifesf.org. You can be one of the people providing $24 within this 24 hours today on the Dobbs anniversary, June 24th. So now I'm going to bring back up Melanie. And I want to thank you all for listening. And please, if you can't contribute yourself, you can always share this live stream, or if you're subscribed to our emails, share that email with 24 friends. See if you are able to do whatever's within your means to advance this mission. If it's not joining us on the sidewalk, joining us for a rally, being part of our research into the abortion businesses, it could be contributing financially, or it could be sharing this content and with your friends. So here's Melanie again, and I want to thank you all so much for taking a listen.
Thank you so much, Robert. Yay! Woo, 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 woo. So, Robert took us through our journey from the past, and our next live stream at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because yes, we are on the West Coast in California, is about our mission in the present, the work we are doing in the present day. Then our third and final live stream today at 6 p.m. Pacific Time will be about our vision for the future. So you see what we're doing there? Okay, we just learned about our journey from the past. Our next webinar at 1 p.m. Pacific will be our work in the present, our mission in motion. And our third and final webinar today at 6 p.m. Pacific Time will be our vision for the future. So why are we even doing these webinars today? Well, because today, June 24th, is the third anniversary of the overturn of Roe v. Wade, thanks to the Supreme Court ruling in the case of Dobbs v. Jackson. And the overturning of Roe was a major victory for the pro-life movement. And thanks to the overturning, life has been protected in many states in the US. And sadly, in states like California, abortion laws, abortions have strengthened and maybe even increased. But if it weren't, so the road ahead is difficult, but this wouldn't even be a road we would get to take if it weren't for the overturning of Roe. Let me say that again. Yes, the road ahead is difficult. It's going to be difficult, but it would not even be a road we would get to take if it had not been for the overruling of Roe. So now we are fighting in our individual state battles. I would love to see a national ban, a constitutional amendment. But today, every day, wherever you are in the US, the best thing I think we can do is serve the pro life movement community in our backyards. And that's what we're doing here in San Francisco. But San Francisco has national reach because here in SF, we have the one of the abortion national training programs at the University of California, San Francisco. So it really is a David versus Goliath situation that we are facing here, but where sin abounds, grace abounds more. Where there is darkness, the light can shine brighter. And we are trying to be that light in a city of darkness. We are trying to be life, save life in a city of death. So, if you would like to see our programs continue in San Francisco, we encourage you to support our work. We're hoping for 24 people to give $24, and it would be especially great for 24 people to sign up to give $24 monthly to be an ongoing supporter. And we're looking for this in the next 24 hours to happen today on June 24th, the third anniversary of Roe v. Wade. And I'm just going to share my screen real quick so that you can see the QR code to scan and the website to go to. Just a moment, let me pull that up. Okay, here we are. So if you go to support.prolifesf.org, you can sign up to give one-time or ongoing support of the work that we're doing. Robert just shared about our journey from the past, all the work we have been doing up to this point. And if you want to see that work continue in San Francisco, please scan the QR code on your screen or go to support.prolifesf.org to give $24 in the next 24 hours today on June 24th, the anniversary of Dobbs v. Jackson, the Supreme Court ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade. We in the pro-life movement refer to today really as Dobbs Day, if you didn't already know that. Today, in pro-life colloquial terms, is Dobbs Day. So in honor of Dobbs Day, and in order to keep our work going in our beloved city by the bay, we're looking for 24 people to give $24 in the next 24 hours on June 24th. And you can do that by going to support.prolifesf.org and or please scan the QR code on your screen. So again, we are doing two more live stream webinars later today in honor of our Dobbs anniversary surge. Our second live stream will be at 1 p.m. Pacific, going over our mission in motion, our work in the present. And our third and final live stream today will be at 6 p.m. Pacific, talking about our vision for the future. And no need to fret if you were not here for the first half of this webinar, or you had to hop out and you missed the second half of the webinar. We will have these recordings available, and we will send out links to the playlist on email, share it on socials, and we'll send it over text also. So no need to fret. You'll get to see everything later on. So thank you everyone for attending today, the 2025 Dobbs Anniversary Surge. And we are looking forward to seeing you in the next two live streams today. And please, if you yourself cannot give $24 to continue our programs here at Pro Life San Francisco, would you consider forwarding the information to 24 people? You see what we're doing here? 24, 24, 24, because it's June 24th, the anniversary of Dobbs v. Jackson. Could you forward this to 24 people? Perhaps. So thank you everyone for tuning in to this first of 3 live streams today through our Dobbs Anniversary Surge. Please give $24 at our website, support.prolifesf.org. And looking forward to seeing you in the next live streams today. Goodbye, everyone.